Okay. All right. This is 9-5, multiplication with addition or subtraction method, meaning multiplication with elimination is what I like to call it. And several other major algebra teachers across the country. If you got my all right reference, it's from a famous movie. No bonus points if you get it, but it'll be fun trivia. Okay, here we go. Let's figure out how to multiply. So we did elimination, we could add and subtract, and we've done this before. But if we're going to do elimination here, you noticed at 1 and 2, when we add these, nothing's going to eliminate. So how do we do that? Well, we need to manipulate our equation a little bit by multiplying through to get rid of a variable. So let's say that we're going to try to get rid of x. So we have 2x and 4x. For us to be able to eliminate this, I need to have these numbers so that they add to 0. So what would that be? To eliminate the x, what I really need is probably -4 and 4. And basically what I'm doing is finding the LCD of those coefficients. What does it get? What do I need to multiply number 1 by to get -4 up there? Well, since it's already 2, then I'm going to need to multiply by -2. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take -2 and multiply it times that whole equation in number 1. So it looks something like this. And then I can rewrite it as -4x minus 2y equals -2 and -9 would be +18. And then the other equation I can write underneath it and just rewriting the same one. 4x plus 11y equals 9. And let's do the math. This is going to be 0. This here is going to be 9y equals 27. We divide by 9 and y equals 3. Now I could take y equals 3. I would suggest going and using one of the originals. I'm going to use number 1, 2x plus y equals -9. You can use either one, and it'll work. So we'll say 2x plus 3 equals -9. So we're going to subtract 3. Then we get 2x equals -12. Divide by 2. And x equals -6. So my answer is -6, 3. Alright, so we had to manipulate the equations a little bit to come up with something that we could eliminate. We're going to do that again. Here are the two new equations. What do we need to do to eliminate? Wait, are those the same ones? Yes, those are the same ones. We could also eliminate the y's. And what would I do to eliminate the y's? I would multiply the top, let me write this out, to eliminate, that is not how you spell eliminate. Let's try that again. Eliminate the, getting ahead of myself, y. How do we do that? We're going to multiply number 1 by -11. Right? So when I do that, -11 times 2x plus 1. Get rid of that parentheses here. Equals -9. What I would get would be -22x minus 11y equals 99. And then my second equation, 4x plus 11y equals 9. I can add those together. What I get is negative, this is going to be 0 here. This is going to be negative 18x equals 99 plus 9 would be 108. Now I'm going to divide by negative 18 on both sides, and x equals negative 6. Go and plug that back into an original problem. I'll use the one at the bottom so I can see it. So I have negative 12 plus y equals negative 9. Add 12 to both sides. Y equals 3. So my answer is negative 6, 3. And if you look back at the first answer, negative 6, 3. So we got the same thing. So we're good to go. And so basically you can use it to eliminate, idea is that you can use it to eliminate either variable and you'll still be okay. Alright? Alright, sometimes both equations need help. So here we have a problem where I cannot just multiply one equation and get something that will add to 0. So what I need to do is find the LCD for each variable and its coefficient, and then I could use either one. So for x, what's the LCD for x? 7 and 2. The LCD would be 14. Right? And the LCD for y, 3 and 4, would be 12. I like to do ones where they're already a negative and a positive already built in, so I don't have to multiply by a negative. Where the LCD here, I would have to add a negative, and it's just more chance for error. You can do it that way, that's fine. But we're going to do the LCD for y, which means what would we need to do? Well, we would need to multiply the bottom one to get 12y right here. Okay, we'll put y and x here. To get 12y, we're going to have to multiply to get by 3. And up here, we're going to need to multiply by 4. I'll get a negative on the top and a positive on the bottom, and we should be okay. So when I multiply those out, I'm going to get 8x minus 12y equals 24. And on the bottom, 21x plus 12y equals negative 24. Alright, we're going to add those together. These two are going to add to 0. So 8x plus 21x is 29x equals 24 plus negative 24 is 0. Don't be scared. 0 is a number. X equals 0. And then I would just take and plug in 0 to an equation. Yes, you still need to plug that in. And if I use the top one, this would be my equation. So 0 for x right here. And I end up with 0, negative 3. Alright, and so this is 0, goes away. Divide by negative 3, and y equals negative 2. So 0, negative 2 is my answer. Alright, and now you could multiply. What would you have to multiply if you're going to do the LCD of 14x? You'd have to multiply by negative 7 and a positive 2. And or you would need to multiply by 2, or excuse me, a positive 7 and a negative 2. And alright, here's another one. If we do it right, okay, if we do the x's, I would have to multiply both equations to get it right. But if you look at the y, we can do an LCD for y of 10. And since the bottom one's 10, if I multiply the top by negative 2, I don't have to do anything to the bottom, which would be nice because then it cuts down on my errors. So Negative 4x minus 10y equals negative 6. And on the bottom, we're just going to keep it the way it is. And when I add these together, the y's are going to cancel out, and I'm going to get negative x equals negative 9. So x divided by negative 1, x equals 9. And then I plug that back into, put it back into the bottom. I don't know, just because. And I get 27 plus 10y equals negative 3. Subtract 27 from both sides. So we'll right here. And I'm going to get 10y equals negative 30. Divide by 10. So y is going to equal negative 3. And so my answer is going to be 9, negative 3. Alright, here's a toughie. Write this down. 1 over x plus 1 over y equals 1, and 3 over x minus 2 over y equals 8. Now, it's a little tricky to do this. Now, here's your hint. Okay, since they both have something that's over x and over y, let's reassign a value. So come over here. We're going to say that a is equal to 1 over x, and b is equal to 1 over y. And I think that'll let us manipulate our equation a little bit easier. So what we can say is that in the first one, we could say that, we can say that a plus b is equal to 1. And in the bottom one, this is just 3 times 1 over x. So we can say 3a minus 2y, excuse me, 2b equals 8. Now, that's much easier to look at and to try to do by elimination. I'm going to multiply, I'd like to eliminate the b, so I'm going to multiply everything by a positive 2. I like to do those without having to use a negative. So that would mean that 2a plus 2b equals 2. We'll use the same equation in the bottom. I hear you. And we add those together. I'm going to get 5a equals 10, and a would be equal to 2. Plug that back in. Alright. If a is equal to 2, let's plug it back into here. So 2 plus b equals 1. I plugged it into the top. Alright, so that means that b would equal negative 1. Now what do I do with what I have left? If a is 2 and b is negative 1. Well, remember that a is equal to 1 over x and b is equal to 1 over y. So how do I solve for x and y? I'm just literally going to substitute the values in for a and b. So since a is 2, I'm going to come over here and say 2 is equal to 1 over x. Alright, and I'm going to solve for x. How do I do that? You can do it a bunch of different ways, but if you want to, you can multiply both sides by x. Alright, since x is in the denominator. Alright, you can do that. And what I'll come up with is 2x equals 1. Divide by 2. So x is equal to 1/2. Over here, b was equal to negative 1. So negative 1 equals 1 over y. Multiply both sides by y. You get the same pattern. And you're going to get 1 equals negative y. Divide by negative 1. And y equals negative 1. So my solution is 1/2 and negative 1. Excellent. Alright, have those notes ready, and I'll see you tomorrow.